Not only did I read briefings and not only was I taught the theories of these technologies, but they were demonstrated for me and I know they are true and accurate.
This is Shpaceboys, actually.
What's up, everybody?
Ooh, yeah.
That's Enoch. That's Enoch. And we're...
That's Zorro.
I'm Zorro, and we're the Spaceboys.
I got it wrong again.
Bitch.
Spaceboys.
By the way, how many days until disclosure?
Like freaking 4 days.
4 days.
What do you think they're going to tell us?
I try not to be too hopeful. The only thing that I think about that turns my stomach is if they show that fucking Fravor video again.
Oh
and
my
it's like,
gosh! Oh my gosh!
It's like the gray video with a UFO tilting around and people talking about if it's a gimbal or fucking whatever. No, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I don't want.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like when you're a kid and you're able to just, like, you could get Cinemax, right? But you couldn't really see a full titty. You know? You knew there was a titty there, but no one is going to show it to you because you got the scramble TV. You know? And that's how it feels when we're looking at UFOs. Like, they ain't showing us the titties. You know? We're not getting to the end of the porn. There'll be no finale for this one, buddy.
Sorry. Basically, okay. So worst case scenario is some super lame like that Fravor video, right? Or like, it's more radar shit or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Best case scenario. They're like, we'd like to share with you guys what we have. There's like a wooden, like little shiny polished box. They open it, and the light comes out, and then the fucking alien stands up, and he's like.
My name is Glomtorp. I am here from the star system Blepchop.
Yes.
If there is a star system out there and it wants to be named Blepchop, you know, I hope they've taken the privileges.
Yeah. Me too, and I hope they do good by their name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Very good.
So this just in, TikTok is got a UFO. This is it. It's got to be real. Oh, shit! The heck? What in the heck? All right, guys.
Wow.
Has to be real, right?
Yeah. Because how else would you get that jet sound coming out of the UFO?
You take a jet and you put CG UFO over it, obviously. But, I mean, beyond that, it's probably real. That's all I'm saying.
There was a guy many years ago, maybe even a decade ago, that I think he was Brazilian. He was making these videos, UFO videos in Brazil, and they were all like that, like super high def, like crazy movie looking ones, but they were like superbly done. That one's well done, sure, but I don't think that. Also, the audio doesn't seem like it belongs in that video. I think it's taken from someone else.
No, UFOs don't make noises like that. Come on, man. Like maybe
what noises do they make? Or maybe like this.
Yeah, sizzling. A little bit of sizzling.
Electrifying.
Yeah.
The plasma.
Yeah. I think plasma is definitely involved. So these guys, they done goofed. Consequences will never be the same. And what is this channel? This channel is THCJ. I like the THC part. But Jay, I would change your name, bro. I would change your name. Heads up.
Hold on, I'm gonna cough really bad. Speaking of Jay's and Teach.
Well, this show has been brought to you by
TC.
THC. Definitely.
And Squarespace.
And
Squarespace.
Square.
Squarespace.
Listen.
For all your web needs.
One of the most important things about UFO disclosure is putting H's after every single S. Like, you know how there's a Q and you always have to put a U after it? When you see an S, you have to put an H.
You have to.
It's
It's a must.
Yeah. A must.
It's a must.
All right. This is the next thing I got for us.
All right.
Let me see here. We've got this guy,
Give it to me, baby.
Dr. Matthew Szydagis.
Szydagis.
Szydagis. Szydagis? Or
Szydagis. I bet
Szydagis?
I think he's Greek. This guy is so smart, he could only be Greek. There's no way he's anything else but Greek.
I think if you just look at his smile, now you smile, they're the same. They're identical.
Yeah.
You guys practically were born from the same, like, area code in Greece.
Gene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I grew my hair out, it would look exactly like that.
In Greece, I'm pretty sure they just have, like, the gene pool. Everybody goes and they get a cup of it. You know what I mean? They take it back home, and then that's where the babies come from.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's a Parthenon. Downtown.
Definitely.
Parthenon.
Okay, so one of the things that this guy talks about is, does interstellar travel require new paradigms? And, I think he kills it with this one statement. We could listen to it real quick.
Okay. And so whenever I look, so Hal put off, as I said, that there's this like sort of physics equations and math that he was proposing that the Alcubierre warp drive is like, if you have exotic matter or negative energy density, you could actually have this sort of faster than light travel, or at least be able to travel great distances. Whenever I hear a lot of like the mainstream scientists and astrophysicists, they're kind of like, well, it would violate the laws of physics. It would take too much time for things to actually travel here. And I feel like there's actually some advanced theoretical physics out there that says that's actually possible. And so from a physics perspective, I'm curious how you sort of got into this question, because what I hear from a lot of the mainstream physicists is like, oh, it's impossible that they could ever get here. And that seems to be like a pretty big thing, stopping a lot of scientists from even looking at this as an issue.
I consider that complete rubbish, and I'll explain why. It's twofold, actually. And half of the answer is FTL, but half of the answer requires no new physics at all. And so so I think it's complete. I disagree with many of my colleagues. I think it's complete nonsense to claim, it's too far away, interstellar travel is too hard. So I want to attack it first from the conventional physics perspective. So let's set aside FTL because it is more speculative. So one thing that my friend Kevin, who I just mentioned, always points out, you don't need FTL to explore the universe because time dilation works in your favor. You don't need any new physics. So I always give this as a homework problem to my students. For example, we like to think, Andromeda Galaxy, 2 million light years away. That would take 2 million years. Wrong. If you travel just 0.1 meters per second slower than the speed of light, you can get there in 50 years. Sure, 2 million years will have elapsed on Earth, but not for you. And so time dilation works in your favor. So relativistic time dilation means you can explore the universe as long as you don't care about going back home, like your relatives' descendants are long dead, but you can explore the universe without any need for speculative, faster than light, this, that. And I just don't understand how many physicists forget that and say, they'll never get here. It's too far. It takes too much time. It does not take too much time.
Hold on. I'm going to pause it right here. And here, you fill some of this gap while I propagate our next thing to look
at. For those that didn't know, FTL is fart time lasers, and that's lasers. Yeah. So when you're a scientist and you're working in a sterile environment, there needs to be certain precautions and stuff for when somebody farts, and they have lasers set up. So because it's kind of like foggy in there because everybody's like vaping in the science room, when you see the laser, that means caution, there's going to be a fart coming. Everybody can evacuate or wear protective stuff.
Or it's like a heads up, somebody's about to evacuate. Ding.
Boom! No, what does FTL stand for, though?
Faster than light travel.
Oh, yeah.
Faster than light. Yeah, but so check this. We've
Yes.
got a simulation right here of not faster than light travel, about colonizing the entire galaxy that we live in. Let's take a peek.
Right.
I wonder if there's audio. I want to know what sound they put to colonizing. They put nothing. Come on, they could put music. All right, so wait for it. There's, see the purple? See the purple boys? Purplies.
Not yet.
They're up here, right there.
Yeah, barely.
When you see a little white box, little white squares show up, those little white squares are colony ships. Now they're moving sublight speed.
What do you mean colony ships?
So the purple is a planet that is colonized already. Okay, let's start it over. We're starting off with one planet. There it is. Now it's colonized 3 planets. Now those 3 planets are going to each colonize a planet themselves. Yes. Right? There they go. One did it. And another one. There they go. Boom,
what are the
boom,
white
boom.
things swirling?
The little white things swirling are stars. Those are star systems.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? Yeah. And so these guys are going all around. They're colonizing all the stars that they can get near. And
neighboring.
The rotation of the galaxy is actually speeding it up. If you look at it, it's like smearing paint.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
is time going faster there?
No, time is going the same speed. And so essentially, like if we look into this, it'll tell us how long this took. Hopefully, let's see. It takes 1 billion years, right? So the galaxy's been around for 14 billion years. All right, our planet or our solar system's been around for about 4 or 5 billion years. And so, in only 1/5 the time that our entire solar system has been alive, that's all it would have taken. Like we're talking like before anybody any cool things were happening, really. You know? Like, they could have colonized everything before we had any cool things going on. So, that's a kind of a big deal, because it proves that guy's point, like, right out the gate.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that. That guy's, like, straight to the point, and he has really, like, he's not too one way or another with it. He's not too, like, Degrass Tyson, like, and then, or like aloof.
Neil tends to, he's a poo-pooer, let's just say. He likes to poo-poo.
But I think he is because he has to.
Yeah, he's super interesting. He's motivated.
He's in charge of a lot of shit.
Yeah.
He can't, like, other scientists would clown him in the locker room. They'd be like, oh.
There's a saying that you want to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. And
I agree.
I think he's maybe taking that to the extreme. Like the other day, I was trying to make the point that, like, you know, sometimes he's just not as adventurous as I'd like him to be. You know, with his mental adventures that he goes on. And one of the things was he said outright, "I don't want to think about silicon life." Well, it's like under carbon, the most likely thing to organize into a life form, the highest probability that it can happen. You know, not saying it's gonna happen, but the next possible is silicon, and he doesn't want to think about it. Well, we've got science labs right now trying to make silicon life. So if we can sit here and poop it out, you know, and we're just barely able to function apes, you know, imagine what could happen with a few billion years in a solar system that had a head start on us. You know, maybe we could have some really crazy types of life.
Totally. And I think that's one thing that sucks too as a scientist. You know the Oumuamua scientist guy? By the way, I'm horrible with any name, even my own. Him, yes. So he has this childlike wonder about him, and he's basically saying, like, stay curious, like, look, ask questions. You know, there's not, you know, you should do that. And that's like the innovator of all things that happen, you know, like all the game changers and all that. And when you're like, oh no, this is wrong and this can't happen, and you know, when you're so absolute about about stuff, then I think you're cutting out a lot of that wonder that can expand,
Yeah.
people's views. And
It's almost like hear no new science, see no new science, speak no new science.
yeah,
And that's how science is. Science is like, you have to get in there and you have to fight to get people to believe what you're trying to prove, and usually you have to do it with peer review study. Usually you have a lot of debate involved and a lot of evidence you've got to bring, and the problem is we're in a theoretical zone, so it's not like it's an easy thing to go get evidence of, well, how does silicon organize on planets all around the galaxy? We don't know.
Right.
Yeah. How does a civilization create a spaceship that moves between star systems? We don't know.
Right.
So we can speculate, but we can't really know until we go look for it or try to think about it. And if we're not willing to do those thought experiments, I think it undermines like that that march towards the future that we all want.
Yeah, I agree. It should be encouraged. We're in such a backwards place, and we're at this really pivotal moment where we're almost like understanding things a little better and what's important and all that. But then there's so many of us, and there's so many people that are still stuck on the old ways. And like what they were saying that, they didn't even want to look through Galileo's telescope because they were like, no, it's evil. And he was like, I can prove to you that, you know what I mean? Like you can actually like look for yourself and see, and people didn't want to do it. So, but I don't think we're that bad, but we're still, we could be better. We should all be doing mushrooms and DMT and, having a check-in once in a while.
Hurt. Might not help, but might help.
It wouldn't hurt.
It might not hurt.
It couldn't possibly hurt.
Different combinations of might and might not.
It might hurt, but yeah. Yes. Find the answer.
So, just so we can open our minds even further, let's listen to what this guy thinks about faster than light travel, though.
Yeah.
Because you can cross the entire Milky Way galaxy in months or weeks or years, not thousands of years. Now, the counter argument to that is always about, what about shielding, radiation, and all the ill effects of relativistic space travel? But I like to point people then to the critics who once said air travel would never be possible. Very learned physicists and mathematicians said air travel was a joke. It would never be possible. Many people said space travel. There was an astronomer 2 weeks before the launch of Sputnik.
He said it wrong.
Who said
space
travel.
It's actually space.
That's never happening. And so, if you look at the history of science, all these things that were claimed to be impossible were impossible not because they break the laws of physics, but because we didn't have the imagination yet as engineers to find engineering workarounds within the laws of physics. And so that's the first half of my answer is you don't know the FTL, so it's complete nonsense, in my opinion, in my scientific opinion. So it's
We just showed you that. That was a simulation that was with the best, newest information with the number of stars we have in our galaxy and all that. And that simulation, backs this guy's statement up.
Not just an uninformed opinion. In my scientific opinion, it's utter nonsense to claim that, it would take too long. You don't even need FTL.
So I want to dig into this whole phrase of the laws of physics, because my understanding of the philosophy of science is that, we have certain paradigms, and then you have that you can never really prove something to be absolutely true. It's only it's true until it gets falsified or proven wrong. But there's certain things about physics that seem to be pretty solid, but yet I sort of reject or I resist hearing about the laws of physics because it's a model and the model could be wrong. But I'd say the other thing that I when looking at this very specific issue of UAP, it seems like something like the Alcubierre warp drive, it takes an assumption of either exotic mass or negative energy density in order to get some of this stuff to actually work. So either, the laws or we can sort of say that they're laws and they actually stand, or there's certain things about the laws that we misunderstand. And it's sort of, we have a new paradigm that we have to sort of shift with this anomalous information that's coming in. Kuhn talked about the structure of scientific revolutions. That was all about having models, and then you have anomalous information. And usually you reject the anomalous information if you don't have enough of it. You just sort of discount it. But once it reaches a critical mass of anomalous information, then that anomalous information has to show that there's a model drift that happens. You have to have new models. And then you have new paradigms that come in once you're able to have new models that actually are able to accommodate the previous information, but also the new information. So I see this kind of like paradigm evolution of science in itself and this unfolding process. So at some level, I'm resistant to this kind of, what Alfred North Whitehead would say is like this sort of misplaced concreteness, putting the abstractions of the math as above and beyond what the observed evidence might be. When in reality you have to sort of it's a give and take between those. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that in terms of both the laws of physics, but also kind of like some of the assumptions or new ideas that are coming up based upon some of the evidence that you're seeing.
Yeah, well, like I said, I had two halves of my answer. Second half is really that, you don't even need to change things that much for something like a warp drive to be possible. It's been many years since Miguel Alcubierre's original paper. It's not just Hal and Eric Davis, one of his collaborators. Many others have been working on this and chipping away and showing, that impossible thing is not impossible within the known workings without having to do any paradigm shift yet, have been able to chip away at many of the aspects. So don't get me wrong. I'm very excited about the possibility of faster than light travel that requires none of the time dilation I was just saying. I was just giving you the first half of my answer as like the conservative answer, in the sense that you don't even need a paradigm shift to explain at least some fraction of the phenomenon or of interstellar travel, extraterrestrial civilizations. You don't even require a paradigm shift in some ways. But absolutely, I think I have been increasingly convinced, it's not my work directly, but I've been increasingly convinced that we're going to chip away at what seem like the impossibilities for faster than light. And I'm getting increasingly convinced that that is a separate and a second viable option, in contrast to what I just said earlier. Now, in terms of laws of physics and paradigm shifts, there's something I always teach my students. I think this might be, I have sort of my own sort of personal philosophy on this, and I don't think it fully agrees with Whitehead's view of things, but I think that paradigm shifts are changing in nature. And that's because centuries ago, we didn't have microscopes, telescopes, blah, blah, blah. It was much easier to be wrong. We just, shooting from the hip.
Right? So that's a pretty good account right there, I would say. Where he's trying to point out that everybody keeps saying like physics defying, like breaking the laws of physics, and actually there's plenty of science out there right now where our scientists are extremely close to doing this type of physics. You know, they're extremely close to manipulating gravity. It's like we've just built gravity wave detectors. We have our Squidboy.
Oh yeah,
goes on gravity detectors. If maybe we'll pull him up in a second.
Yeah. We're gonna do an honorary video we'll call him Squidboy, but
we call him Squidboy. Let me just find.
Rather Be Squidding is his channel. Yeah. We came across him during COVID because Enoch and I and a whole bunch of us would kick it and watch videos all day long. And we came across him, and there's something so fascinating about him. The way he talks is very intense, and also his eye expressions are also extremely intense, but they don't really match what he's saying.
Yeah,
they're very intense, but they're always very intense. And he does this like squint, like this like eye thing. He's so intense.
All right, I'm gonna find one just for the eyes, real quick.
Yes. And bless him because we love him.
We love him.
Without being mean at all.
Videos.
We check very often to see if he has a new video out. And it's not anything bad.
Not only do we check, mostly we feel the Akashic layer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we judge. We try to judge when he's released one based on our feeling. And,
it's true.
It's a silly game.
I'll be like, I feel like he has a new video out, so go check.
Oh, shit.
And sometimes it's true.
You called it, bro. You called it. And I mean,
yeah. We have a lot of those.
I think we have to. Let's take a little quick break to Rather Be Squidding and look at his eyes.
Controlling gravity. It sounds impossible. However, if you were alive during the 1800s, the idea of controlling electromagnetic waves would also sound impossible.
If you can make wheels that stupid, you can do anything.
In fact, the very idea of an electromagnetic wave hadn't even been thought of until James Clerk Maxwell introduced the concept in 1864. And it was
He
not
always has
actually
cotton mouth,
seen
too.
or proven until Heinrich
I hope he's
Hertz
smoking blunts.
demonstrated the propagation
Me too.
of electromagnetic waves in
Just like he's got to do like
1887.
3 to the
After
head,
that,
and then he can do his
innovation in
video.
the area exploded exponentially. And we are right at the beginning of that exponential curve in our understanding of gravity. In 2016,
I picked a
scientists
random
I don't
video.
know.
It's the
for
perfect
first
video.
time, a
Did you see
gravitational
that?
wave
That's that
proved
Akashic layer
Einstein's
shit we're
theory
talking
of
about. I
gravitational
It
I
is.
shot from the
were
hip,
correct.
boys.
We
Yeah.
are literally at the same point in our understanding of gravity as we were of electromagnetic waves 130 years ago.
Good point.
Now, the more out there
I want to see the
implications predicted by
eraser
Einstein's
board
theories, such
that he's
as
looking at.
actual
Like, does he write it?
light travel seem like they may be more fact than fiction. Especially
So I'm gonna pause it right there because these guys are talking about the Alcubierre warp drive, and let's just real quick try to explain it for people. So like, space-time is like it's like a fabric. It's like a bendy object that we all exist inside. Well, Alcubierre warp drive tries to bend that space-time almost like you're surfing. Like, you know how the surface of water bends, and you can get on your surfboard in front of one of those bends where there's a drop in front of you, so you're falling down, you know, the water, and that falling action is what is making you move forwards, right? And so you can create the same gradient in gravity inside of a warp bubble, and essentially you would fall forwards, but you'd be beyond the local space-time. You know, you'd be sort of separated in the sense that you wouldn't experience moving fast or anything. You know, like that's why they say, how could anything be in this UFO? You know, like if a human was in a UFO and it was using relativistic physics and not inside of a warp bubble, the human would be mush. It would just be bloody mush inside of that frickin' thing. You know? And so without one of these, there's no possibility of conventional pilot, you know.
By the way, how funny would it be if you're at the Alcubierre Drive like factory and you're walking around like on your phone and you fucking fall into that and all of a sudden you see like on Earth you see like a human like flying through the sky like always and you're just like forever just falling like through space.
There it goes. I mean, I bet you there's all sorts of unintended consequences when you get into stuff like this. Like, we thought,
Right?
oh, biology will be cool, and then it's like, you know, now you have people able to make super bugs or super viruses in their garages. You know, oh, like, you know, look at these cool fireworks, and then now we have ballistic missiles. You know, thanks China. You know, you thought just these little cool fireworks in the sky were great, and now look what we've done. We've created a monster.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never know the unintended consequences, and one of the unintended consequences might be that Zorro falls around the world for infinity. You know?
Yeah.
And the coolest part
Oh
would
my
be
God.
you wouldn't be experiencing time, and everybody would see you moving at like 50,000 miles an hour around the Earth for like a million years.
Well, I'd be like forever just falling.
Yeah,
Right?
it would be.
Yeah.
It would be.
Which would be kind of cool.
whatever direction the bubble takes you.
Exactly. It's like a roller coaster that like you're going down, but like you just forever. You just keep going.
Okay, so
that would suck.
let's just think about time dilation for a second. So like
Okay.
if you're in one of these ships, you are not going to experience the same amount of time as everybody else. Like from their
Yeah.
observer perspective, they're going to see you moving super fast. From your perspective, you know, you're experiencing time as normal and you're not seemingly moving super fast. Right?
But everything's slow to you too, right? Like if you were
Everything
to
would look
see,
slow to you, I believe.
super slow. Yeah.
Yeah. But now imagine your ship just it fucks up. Now if everything's moving slow to you and you look like you're moving super fast to everything else and you were like let's say orbiting a planet, like you could have a scenario where over 100 years of you orbiting the planet, you know, with your broken Alcubierre drive, right? There's a million years of a civilization watching your ship orbit.
Oh, right.
Think about that.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
You know? So, like, there could be some serious temporal implications for these things, you know? Whether it's just moving between stars at relativistic speeds, or whether it's like this exotic transportation, like there are all sorts of cool time dilation things that I don't think we're ready to understand yet, or even have the physics to map out quite yet. And, and I think it would be really cool to experience all of this all at once, like in 4 days.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've been like listening to lately, what they're talking about is how like these things could be from a different point in space, like if it is from space. But it also could be, I mean, it could be something completely else too, but it could also be something from a different dimension, dude. Like all this stuff is, it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah. You can see the green dildo one, which has a pretty funny story that it goes next, by the way.
I mean, should we? Should I?
Yeah, you should do the honors.
All right, hold on.
This is a creation.
Okay, this is a different thing.
For the record.
Yeah, but yeah. So we tend to meme around these parts, and when I heard that Neil deGrasse Tyson thing talking about he doesn't even want to think about Silicon Life, I was just thinking about, bro, Silicon Life is thinking about your mouth right now, bro. And this is the outcome.
Boom!
And good night.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Open your mind, bro. Open your mind.
This has got to be the thumbnail.
That's gonna be a rough one,
dude. Hey, are we Spaceboys or are we not?
We might be Spaceboys.
Are we Spaceboys?
But do we want to shoot a green dildo over the bow with Neil deGrasse Tyson on our first episode? I don't know. I don't know if we're prepared for the consequences. Or the benefits.
Called being a disruptor, all right?
Yeah.
You know? We need to disrupt the UFO science
I'm prepared to disrupt, and that's why we got this for us. Look at this. Okay, so we have the extraterrestrial hypothesis chain. Mm-hmm. We have interstellar civilization or a galactic federation of species, right? Mm-hmm. And we got the interdimensional hypothesis, what you were just hinting at, where you have a multiverse, and maybe these are beings from a different dimension or a higher dimension or a dimension that is like almost layered directly on top of us and we can't recognize it, you know? Or it could involve time travel or parallel dimensions. And there's...
Or just pause, hold on, pause right there. That might sound like a bowl of, pardon my French, but hogwash to a lot of people. They're like, interdimensional, there can't be anything. I do a lot of psychedelics. I have always. Explains a lot about me. Anyways, so that's enough about me. What I wanted to say is that I've done DMT a few times, and I have actually experienced otherness, like what you would just describe as other dimensions, so many times and so vividly that the idea doesn't seem like it's valid until you have experienced something like that, where you're like, oh yeah, dude, that thing is like, that was a world that was working by itself, like stuff was working together. There was like autonomous beings that were having ideas and things that I didn't bring up, as far as I know. There were things, mechanisms, and things happening that were completely under intelligent orchestration, if you will. So it may sound like fairy tale type stuff, but it's not outside of the realm. And when it comes down to it, like, we're all in this experience together, and I'm surprised that not everybody talks about this all the time. But we're all in this like experience, and nobody knows what is happening. Like, we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going. We don't know anything, but we're just kind of like acting like, oh, I'm a construction worker. You know what I'm saying? And I have a hard time with doing stuff I don't like employment wise because of that. Because I'm like, dude, like, there's something huge going on right now, and we're a part of it. It's like a crazy sitcom, like a fucking Black Mirror type shit, where everybody's just on this experience and nobody knows why, and everybody's just acting like, So it's not outside of the possibilities. Sorry for the rant. I had to.
All right, no, that's good. That's good because I agree. I agree that like the idea of not entertaining possibilities, it just leads you down roads that have they're dead ends.
Yeah.
You know, and I always want to be able to turn away and go down a different road because like science is about that. Like you know, you're gonna take all these hypotheses and you know, there's not just one that lasts forever. You know, there's one that lasts until a better one comes and knocks it off its pedestal. And I think that's the biggest thing is you got to be open to anything and everything, but you got to also have that skeptical, you know, foundation where you're going to ground yourself and say, you know, it doesn't mean these things are real. It means that entertaining their possibility is going to be beneficial through thought experiment or through actual experiment, you know, and then those things can lead to better understandings of the paradigm that we're in. You know, and then there's even deeper. Totally we can go deeper, bro.
Oh yeah.
Extra dimensional hypothesis, where it's like this is essentially different forms of pure consciousness, an omniverse or egregorous. I don't know what an egregorous is. We could look that up, but I'm too lazy. Or an AI simulation, which is like I was just about to say simulation when you're talking about like the meaning of things, and like what if just struggle is the meaning? What if surviving is the meaning? Or what if understanding how life propagates or how entropy propagates through life and through the environment, you know, in a simulation like we're living in, or a universe like we're living in.
Totally. Or we could be one being spread out into different parts and experiencing life like that. You know what I mean? Which is something that some people believe. Like we're all one in the main thing, but this whatever it is, this creator, God, whatever you want to call it, wants to experience life, right? And you would think that. I mean that's one theory, but you know, where you can like create these things and then they do stuff and they feel, and you know, then you get you know.
I mean, you can already see in our trajectory where artificial intelligence will probably take over for us. Like we're like the biological bootloader for artificial intelligence. And we're gonna launch it off into the galaxy, and it's gonna be our diplomat. It's gonna be the only thing left of us. And the question is, like, does it have curiosity? Is its curiosity based on wanting to understand who we were? You know, and I think there's a very good chance that it could want to understand us, and you could have all sorts of intelligent systems that want to better understand like the realities that are possible. And that's one of the things where simulation comes in, because when we're looking at, like, for example, weather dynamics, right, we go to simulations. You know, when we want to understand how fast you can colonize a galaxy, we pop out a simulation. Now, like, given enough time, we're going to have a sophisticated enough simulation where there's going to be a little Zorro and a little Enoch on that planet, and they take shits every day. You know? And that's an inevitability if we have enough time. And I think with enough time in the universe, we have 14 billion years, like, it's probably going on already. And if that's the case, we're probably nested in a billion simulations inside simulations. And, you know, that could be one part of it. And then there could be the whole physical reality that's all existing within, you know, and whether it be in the imagination of a slime mold that has a neural net big enough to do the simulation and lives on a whole planet, or whether it be some like omnipotent demigod, or like just the network connections of the universe itself having consciousness. You know, who knows? Like, that's definitely a different possibility.
Right? It's crazy, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we can go even deeper, and we got the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, where we got crypto-terrestrials, this is our buddy Vice's favorite option, crust aliens. We got to throw that in there. The aliens that live in the Earth crust. And, like, they just popping out, and they're poking at us. They're turning off our nukes because, you know, maybe they've got a reason to not want us to use them or whatever because they might live here. So, you know, or there's a breakaway civilization, which is like, I talk about this a lot with the Defense Department having black projects. Like, at what point, when presidents can't get access to our black projects, at what point are those black projects almost like a government in and of themselves? And when their technology is like 50 to 100 years ahead of ours, as is, like, at what point do they decide, hey, I'm not going to hang out with these losers anymore, I'm going to do my own thing? You know, and maybe that's already happened. Maybe it happened 300,000 years ago, you know? Humans have been anatomically about the same for 300,000 years. So, like, what if it happened at any given point in history? What if aliens helped them get to this point at any given point in history? What, you know, there's all sorts of ideas where we might not be constrained by what we all see as our reality. Like, there's this group back in the day that I remember reading about called NIMSA. And NIMSA was a group of people who were really into air travel. This is in the 1800s, and like hella long ago, and they were really into air travel, and they were really into designing giant blimps before blimps were really a thing. And that's crazy. And it was kind of like, the lore of it was kind of like a secret society of people that would keep this technology and keep working on this technology while the rest of the world didn't give a fuck, you know. And we could totally have systems like that, or you know, in black projects, or even let's look at Nazi Germany, right? Nazi Germany could have created some serious technology, and then in the collapse of Germany they could have gotten it out and taken that technology. Like, let's say they did create a UFO, you know, they are flying around in a gravity defying device, you know, 70 years ago. I think that would be enough in itself to go and create your own society wherever you want, and you wouldn't have to worry about many things because you might have infinite power. You might have access to go to any planet you want, or the moon, or live underwater. You might have access to all sorts of better technology. It's so far ahead of the rest of the world that it doesn't matter, and you can just break away. And, like, I think the Nazis are maybe like a less likely than the Pentagon's defense budget as a breakaway civilization. But, you know, just as, you know, you could assume that these things are possible. Like, the story of Atlantis could be a breakaway civilization where still in the, like, realm of Roman technology, or, you know, it doesn't have to be crazy woo-woo technology. It could just be the rest of the world's in the Stone Age, and Atlantis, this one group, has broken away from the entire world, and they have things like running water, hot and cold water. They, you know, they've got literature. I
heard they had nuclear power too. When I was in Greece, that's what they used to say.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Like, there could be all sorts of realities that we're not privy to yet. And unfortunately, there's very little information about Atlantis other than what Plato wrote. So,
yeah. That's nuts, dude.
But, like, you know, all these things add up to one pretty badass 4 days from now, I think. And actually,
I know.
You know,
I'm so excited.
Even if they don't tell us anything, which I doubt they're going to tell us anything, I think that, you know, cat's out of the bag. You know, people are now going to have their minds just a little bit more open, and I think that you graph that out and it changes everything. You know, given enough time. You know.
Totally. And people are so preoccupied in their lives too. Like, people don't give a shit. Nobody talks. No. Like, even though all this news and stuff is happening, like, nobody talks.
Oh, yeah, nobody cares. You see Sam Harris and Eric Weinstein, they're just complaining about how this is the biggest thing ever and nobody cares.
I know. Hold on, I gotta go pee. You keep talking.
I'm actually just gonna put on Benny Hill for him to pee. I think that might be the way to go. Are we gonna get a strike from Benny Hill? Dorothea. Doodle's peeing. Doodle's peeing. Doodle's peeing. That's enough. All right, but I think this has been good so far. Did the Benny Hill speed you up? Huh?
Bro, I felt like I was like 5 years old again. We used to watch that in Greece. Like Benny Hill was part of the TV programming. Dude, it was the best. And like I love how everybody's like running all fast.
Yep.
It's the best.
But did it make the pee come out faster is all I care about.
Yes.
It seemed like you came right back almost instantly, so.
I was so relaxed.
There you go. In the future, maybe that's a thing we can do. No?
Yeah.
And so I don't know where we want to go from here. There's 4 days from now, Congress will get their official briefing. They had the classified briefing last week, I think Friday. And who knows when we'll get any information, or if the information that they're like, here's some blurry pictures to go jack off to,
Yeah.
We're used to it. We grew up on blurry pictures, guys. We grew up
we
on
can see
blurry
through
pictures.
Yeah. And scrambled video. Oh, before we go, I put 2 links for you. And the first one is something that I found really interesting. And it's Luis Elizondo. He's being interviewed by this guy. It's really funny because Luis seems like he's kind of like grumpy with this guy, and rightly so, because this guy is like, anyways, but he talks about C5, which I thought, like Stephen Greer I have that app too, is like the C5 app, which stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is initiated by a human. But in this video, they're talking about, I'll mess the acronym up, so we'll hear it when he talks about it. But I think it's about the same thing. It's like human interfacing person
with the phenomenon.
So check it out. I think it's kind of interesting.
I almost forgot to ask this question. In the AATIP slides, there was something that came up: cognitive human interface. What did that mean to AATIP?
Well, I think you know what that means to AATIP. That's kind of your CE5 now, isn't it?
So, was something like that, I guess, observed in all the studies and the cases?
James, I'm gonna take a Heisman pass on that.
Sure.
Because again, I'll let experts speak to that.
Sure. Is there anything you can say to that at all?
Well, I'm doing your interview, aren't I?
Wonderfully said. Okay, what about
for all those people out there who say Lou doesn't give CE5 any credence? Well, you've never asked.
I was gonna say this. I mean, cognitive human interface. That's just. I mean, we could just call that CHI instead of CE5, right? As unique cognitive human interface experiences. So that's almost like AATIP saying contact experiences. There. Okay, yeah.
Come on, Lou. Come on,
so cringy.
Lou. Yeah. It's
oh my god,
cringy.
this guy's so cringy. But I think that's good. We could put a link to it.
This is like cringe on cringe, because we have cringe here and then cringe here, and then whenever we see Lou Elizondo, cringe.
He looks like that.
Cringe right here. It's like, listen, I don't know what part of America you grow up on when they say, hey, when you grow up and be an adult, how about a goat beard? How about a goat beard?
Wait. Look at the picture. Look at the guy's face.
Oh yeah, they're making the same face, dude. Look at that. He's channeling Lou Elizondo's fucking grimace.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the cringiest things, dude.
I was gonna say.
Poor Luis.
Oh my
Look
goodness.
at his face now. The picture guy. And what's also kind of funny is that we're watching a guy watching somebody interviewing him.
Yeah.
It's
This
like
is full
2,
Inception.
3. Yeah.
It's fine though.
All right.
It's fine because if we go to the original channels, that's when that's when it gets dangerous. You know what I mean?
That's when it gets real bad.
Yeah.
And I think this is interesting because that's a big deal, right? That there was, we know like CIA was doing remote viewing, and they would do like remote viewing on like stuff on Mars, and it's all documented, like FOIA stuff that was released.
Stargate program.
Yeah. That's pretty nuts, right? So the interfacing, I think that's freaking awesome. I wish that guy was better at interviewing Luis, so we got an answer instead of.
I think we would do a lot. We'd be a lot more fun and brutal to Lou Elizondo. We'd probably get a lot of his security clearances revoked.
I don't think we would be brutal in a nasty way. I think we would be. I think we would get like some good questions and answers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like things that you would want to know, like
is
when
the U.S. government using femtosecond lasers to create plasma radio, electronic warfare? That's what I want to know. That comes up visibly on thermal cameras.
Exactly. Or you're like, so Luis, you claim that you worked at AATIP. Let me ask you this: what did the fridge in the lunchroom smell like?
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
so you get down to that level, and we'll be able to call him bullshit if he's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
But I have a good feeling about him. I mean, I know he worked. Like I heard this extensive interview with him. With Alex, what's his name?
Lex Friedman.
God, Alex Friedman. I was saying this is a perfect pair because I remember nothing. I'll remember that something happened, and you can fill in the information about who and what and where. But I trigger you, and then you complete me.
I collect shit and I put it in. Then you trigger.
Yeah, I know you're so good at. For as many blunts as you smoke,
there's almost an infinite amount of blunts over here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wish people knew how many blunts you smoke.
Yeah, you guys can all be more efficient as long as you just maximize the amount of blunts you smoke. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not doctor recommended advice, though.
No, not at all. So, and I also brought one more video. Now, before you play this one, and only play like a minute and a half or two or something, but Enoch and I are both fond of, like, we call it disaster porn, and it's, or when you watch something and you're like, is this person like a real person, and is this for real, and are people like that? I get a huge kick out of it, and there's a lot of UFO related ones, and I found one, and I think it's a good one. Here you go.
Oh, an alien extraterrestrial disclosure by the government, very official, is going to happen very, very soon. And this is actually a sad, sad thing. I feel it's going to be a little bit sad. And why? I'm going to explain to you in this video, so keep watching.
Dude, there's a dolphin. Dolphins are part of the aliens.
Children of the stars.
What in the heck?
This is another episode, and this is going to be interesting because we're going to look at different perspectives of what is up there and who we are, and about life outside of planet Earth. So, what your perspective as a starseed is?
There's like a snake here, and it's eating its own tail.
The mass perspective of these subject matters is really, really different. So if you're all thinking, oh, finally, everybody's going to wake up. Finally, everybody is going to understand that we come from the stars, that we are starseeds, that we are more than just human. I'm not so sure about that. Most people don't think like you and me. You and me, we are awakening starseeds.
You guys and her, not Zorro and I and her.
All of us.
That are awakening to who we really are, awakening to the universe, to the cosmos, to our cosmic connection. We are in the process of ascending, and that is opening our perspective, our mind, raising our
There we go.
Well,
I want to pause it right
there
there
you
on
go.
that face. That's a good face.
It gets a lot worse.
It gets wooier and wooier and wooier.
Yeah.
That's the thing where if you open your mind too much, your brain just fucking tumbles out, rolls down the road. It picks up all the dust and the hair, the cat hair. This lady clearly has a lot of cat hair around. She put the brain back in with the cat hair. You got to wash it off first.
Yeah.
You know? So, look at this. She's actually in the motion of putting the brain back in, covered in cat hair. And she sees the cat hair, and she's still going to do it.
She's not sure which way it goes back in.
Yeah.
She's like,
oh, man.
Now, there's a lot of things, like sensitive things. Somebody could have a mental illness.
Yeah.
Somebody could be doing it as a grift to make money.
Yes, grifting.
Somebody could really...
Grifting is one of the largest things in the UFO community. Like, grifters are ridiculous. How many seasons of Ancient Aliens were there? Where it's like essentially like low-key racism that all these brown people can't build fucking pyramids or you know what I mean? Or stone structures. Like, come the fuck on. Like, I'm gonna leave you in a room with a bunch of stones for 300,000 years. Tell me what the fuck you come up with. I bet you it'll be pretty good. You know? Yep. But, you know, I think that that we go on journeys with these people, and it's as disgusting or crazy or weird as it gets, it's all, there's a little bit of beauty there.
Absolutely. No, totally. It's what makes us, unique. It's what makes this experience interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of stuff. If we were all the same, we'd be kind of boring.
Right? Like, you got people taking it seriously, like Richard Dolan. And then you got people taking it to the full grift stage, like, what is it? Wilcox, or the Dylan Wilcox, or Brian Wilcox. The guy with the Gaia Network, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like pure, like, let's just add religion and aliens and every single thing, and yoga and meditation, and they just go down the woo-woo list. They mix it all together, and there's no freaking up or down anymore. It's just all a big, mush soup. And, it's fascinating watching it happen. It's fascinating seeing how many people, like, just sign up to whatever bullshit. And I
think people want to find meaning and are longing for it.
And religion is it's receding in our societies, and so as people look for that meaning, they're finding all these different random things, whether it be conspiracy theories with politics, or whether it be woo-woo crystal energy, or
or diets. There's like a billion diets, or lifestyles, or fasts, or whatever. It's
and it's just a way of living, and I think people are comforted by having a routine or a belief system. Whether or not it's rooted in fact or science. I can appreciate that to a point.
No, totally. I mean, if you really think about it, all of us are like headed. It's a nice way to end. Headed to die, right? And we don't know where we came from. Now we have to do the thing, so we're like trying to find meaning, which is great because I think that there is a meaning to it. But it's like this big mystery, and we're all just trying to figure it out. Yeah. But we're also human. We're all like also selfish and mean, and all those other things. So that makes it a little convoluted sometimes. Very good. Check us out. We did it.
I think that's a good show. I think next time we should talk about whether or not this is all a big psyop. They're fucking with us, or whether or not this is gonna be aliens. They're gonna show up in 4 days. I think we're gonna know what the Congress thing said next time we do this. So that'll be a cool place to jump off from.
I know. I can't wait, dude. Yeah.
Here it comes.
All right, we are out. We don't have an outro. We're gonna figure all that stuff out. But for now, we are out. Let me know when you start recording. Let me know when you start.
Started.
Yeah, let me know when you say
Action.
I'll know that you started.
Action.
Yeah, when you say action, then I'll
Saying
know
it
that
now.
you started.
Action
recording.
now.
But dude, that hemorrhoid in my ass has been giving me so much grief.